loves, welcome back to my channel, and for those of you that are brand new, I'm Candace and welcome to my channel. So this week I'm going to do an IVF and motherhood Q&A. I asked for some questions about a week ago on my Instagram and you guys submitted some questions, and so I just chose a few of those I'm going to answer in this video, and I hope you guys enjoy hearing the answers to the questions that you guys asked. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into the video. So the first question is, did you experience any physical side effects while going through IVF? So actually, I did experience some side effects. The number one thing for me, I think the worst part of IVF for me was the birth control. The birth control made me so hormonal. It really affected me just overall, and I just hated the birth control part of the whole process. So I think that's where I experienced the most side effects, was the birth control. Now as I started doing my stems, some of the other side effects that I experienced was having tenderness where some of the injections were. So I had a very tender, just because you're constantly giving yourself shots, and so there's only so many spots in your belly you can go. Especially for me, I went like 13-14 days of stems, and I had like 4 or 5 shots a day. So that was one of the other things that I experienced, was just the tenderness. Of course, the bloating as your follicles grow and your eggs grow and get into a mature phase. I was very bloated, so I was very sluggish, but overall I think one of the injections gave me a headache for a few of the days, kind of I guess when my hormones were leveling out, and of course I took so many different medications, so I have no idea which one it was. But that's really it. The Menopur, it did burn a lot, so that was another thing I had to work through when giving myself the shots for the IVF. But overall, I would say my IVF cycles were as good as they could be. I mean, of course it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, but I mean, I know women who have experienced way worse side effects than I have, and so I'm just grateful that I didn't have anything that was like terrible. So that was the first question. The second question is, did you sleep train, and if so, which method did you use? So I personally don't consider what we did with Victory to be sleep training, but I guess you would consider it sleep training. I have to let you guys know I don't do the cry it out method, and I know a lot of parents do that. I do like a modified method, and I had shared this in a previous video, but this book is life, y'all. This book is, I don't know where I would be without this book. I got this book when Victory was like a month old, and I read it. Tim and I both read it, and probably when she was around 6 weeks, we started following the tips that were in this book, and my life has been changed. So in the beginning, of course, she was still like a new baby, so she wasn't really sleeping through the night and all that. But as we can stay consistent with it, I noticed a noticeable difference in her sleeping patterns. So I followed the tips in this book, and it's called On Becoming Baby Wise. And I do like a modified cry it out. So I don't like put her in her room and just let her cry until she falls asleep. It's almost like you do like increments, like, okay, I'll put her in her room, and then she may cry for 5 minutes, and then I'll get her, I'll soothe her, and I'll comfort her, and then I'll put her back down, and then I might let her go for 7 minutes. And now that she's 10 months, she sleeps like a pro, and so I don't have to really do this anymore. But starting off, and it was hard because of course you want to like hold your baby and you don't want them to cry, but that's the method I used. And so it's a modified cry it out method where you let her cry and self-soothe herself for a little while. You don't let her like cry for a long time, and then as time goes on, it'll become like a pattern where they'll soothe themselves. And now I put her down. Most of the time she doesn't even cry, and if she does cry, it's like 5 minutes, and then she's asleep. So she's sleeping now in her room as well. But so that's the method I use. I highly recommend this Baby Wise book. It really changed my life, and a lot of the friends that I know use it said the same thing. And so that's the method that I use to help sleep train Victory. And we have, now she sleeps 10 hours. She sleeps in her room. She started sleeping in her room at 5 months, and we have a bedtime routine and everything that we do. And yeah, it's really worked for us, so highly recommend it. The next question is, did you ever track your BBT, and was it accurate? So the BBT is the basal body temperature. I think that's what it stands for. Don't quote me. I actually never did that because my periods were so regular and my cycle was so regular that I knew exactly when I was ovulating. I had ovulation trackers and I did the ovulation kits for a little while, but I had gotten to the point where I knew exactly when I was ovulating, and I had the ovulation pain, the middle Schwartz, whatever you call it, which is like the ovulation pain on the side of your belly, whichever side you're ovulating on. So I never actually did the BBT. It just seemed like it was a lot of work, and because I knew exactly when I was ovulating, it was really unnecessary for me. But I know a lot of women who do it and have its success, and they determine exactly when they're ovulating and they're able to conceive that way. And so if that works for you, then by all means do that. Okay, so the next question is about finger foods. When is the best time to introduce finger foods, and how do you prevent choking hazards, and what foods to start with? So I think we started Victory on like the finger foods, I want to say maybe about 7 months, 7 to 8 months. Yeah, I'll say probably around 7 months. And I think that this is something that you should always talk to your pediatrician about. Of course, I am not an expert. I'm just a first-time mom that's learning along the way, just like you guys. But from my perspective, what has worked for us is starting off with things that are very mushy. So I started her off with like steamed vegetables, and so if I steam peas, you know, you can just mush them in your hand if they steam long enough. So like peas or potatoes, things that you can make really soft, so once they're eating it, they're really not eating it because it's literally mushing in their mouth, and it's just kind of practicing them getting into the groove of like chewing and swallowing. So I would definitely say start off with things that are very mushy, and like fruits that are very smushy, like blueberries. And then I follow the rule of like making sure nothing is bigger than my pinky nail. So anything that I'm putting in front of her is going to be in itty bitty small bites. And so now we do a lot of the baby-led weaning and only a few of the purees. So we do like scrambled eggs and toast, and just make sure everything is in very small pieces and that it's mushy, and that she, you know, and always stay right there with the baby so that they don't choke. And yeah, that's it. We've had a lot of success with the baby-led weaning with the finger foods, and I just do a lot of research, and I follow a lot of blogs that give you ideas of things that are age appropriate for your baby depending on what age they are and what they can eat. And so that's what's helped us a lot. So definitely talk to your doctor about it and do some research, and I think that you will find success with that. So the next question is, how did you deal with the disappointments you faced during IVF? So like books, etc. So as you guys know, we've experienced tons of disappointments on our journey, and our first IVF cycle was unsuccessful. We only had 2 frozen embryos. We transferred both of them, and the transfer was not successful, and so it was very disappointing. It was very disheartening because we had already been married almost 10 years. We have been on this journey a long time, and so what really helped me deal with those disappointments was my faith, and knowing that God had a plan for me and a plan for our life, and that he had called me to be a mother. The scripture, there's tons of scriptures, and you know, that tell us to be fruitful and multiply, and that he will give us, you know, children and just all types of things. So always staying with my faith and trusting God even when I didn't understand, what was going on. Another thing I mentioned before was a devotional that I read, which was Sarah's Laughter, which was an amazing devotional. Just really kept me up in my faith and reminded me of God's promises. Listening to pastors. I love Joe Osteen. I always call him my Uncle Joe. But listening to things that are going to constantly pour into me and remind me of God's promises. Keeping a circle around me of people that are in faith with me and that will remind me of God's promises. And I really think that's it. Staying off of like social media as much as I could, because you get on social media and those can bring different types of triggers for you. So you want to stay in a space where you can be remain in faith and remain positive, and where you don't feel like defeated and different things like that. And so those are the things that help me along my journey, and hopefully those things will help you as well. The next question is, did you do all of the old wives' tales after your frozen embryo transfer, the pineapples, Brazil nuts, etc.? I actually have a whole video, a couple of videos I'm going to link up top and down below of things that I did. I did do the pineapples, the pineapple core for a few days after transfer. Of course, pineapple is supposed to aid in implantation. I did the Brazil nuts, which were disgusting to me. I absolutely hate Brazil nuts, and even to this day, I still won't eat them. But I did eat a few, about 4 or 5 a day after transfer, which is also supposed to help with implantation. And I have a whole video of things that I did after my first failed frozen embryo transfer. Going into the second one, I completely changed my diet, completely changed everything I did. I incorporated some exercise. What else did I do? Acupuncture, of course, which I am a firm believer on, and some people aren't. But so those are the things I did. Anything else that you want to know about, I will link those videos and you can check those out as well, because I could go on and on and on about all the stuff that I did between the first transfer and the second transfer, which I feel helped me have success. So the next question, I actually think this is the last question. What is the most challenging part of motherhood? The most challenging part of motherhood is that it's constant. There's never a break. So from the time I wake up in the morning, it's like, you know, the baby needs something from you, obviously, because it's a baby, so they can't do anything for themselves. So you're constantly feeding and changing and clothing and cleaning and, you know, cooking and getting the snack ready, getting dinner, getting lunch. So it's constant. And so, like, if you work outside of the home and you have a job, you can at least sometimes say, all right, I'm going on my 15-minute break, I'm going on my lunch hour, you know, and you can have that time to say, whoo, okay, I need a break. I feel like with motherhood, you don't get that unless you literally say, hey, I need a break, take the baby, you know what I mean? And so that's the most challenging part for me, is this, just that it's constant, and that it just goes from literally the time you wake up to the time the baby goes to sleep. It's nonstop. Like, it's keeping the baby entertained and making sure that, you know, they are being stimulated enough but not overstimulated, and making sure that you're working with them with whatever their shapes and their letters and singing songs. And it's just like constantly trying to figure out how to keep a little one occupied, and making sure that they're eating enough, and making sure that they're pooping enough, and making sure that they're clean, and all those different things. And it's just an amazing experience. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love being able to be home with her and be able to experience this every day with her. And I'm so grateful that I didn't have to rush off and leave her for an outside job, and that I am able to be home and be on this full-time mom type of job, which is definitely a full-time job. And so I think that's really it. I think that's all the questions. If you guys have any other questions, I will definitely do another Q&A very soon. I really like doing Q&As just because, I don't know, I feel like it's allowing you guys to let me know like what type of content you want me to create for you. And so I don't know, it's just, I like Q&As. I don't know, maybe I like to be interviewed or something, whatever. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you are not yet a part of my little family, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any of the videos that I will be sharing with you guys. Also, I announced last week that I started a business, My Fruitful Journey, and I am so excited and so grateful for all of your support. I am actually wearing a cropped hoodie. And y'all, I don't want to show y'all my belly out, but it's like a short hoodie, and it has like obviously a hood on it because it's a hoodie. But I want to know, you guys think I should add this to my store? Right now I have the Victory shirt, the black and white shirt that I introduced last week, and I have a necklace that I will be making available very soon, probably this month, because it is National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And so far I have the shirt, and I want to add the cropped hoodie, but I'm not quite sure what colors to do. I'm not quite sure. I'm new to all of this, so I would love your input on some items that you would like to see in my store, maybe some color schemes that you would like to see in the hoodie, things like that. So I want to thank you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing week. If you have not checked out some of the other videos, if you're starting IVF or you're thinking about IVF, I have tons and tons of resources here on my channel. I'm sure you'll find something that will be helpful and useful to you on your journey. So have an amazing week. I'll be back next time with another video. Bye.